Right, okay, Balsa.
Yeah.
We're gonna review A Way Out, but it's co-op. We've got to press it at the same time. We've got to do our intros at the same time, right?
Okay.
Ready? Right. 3.
Done.
Too early.
Sorry.
We're gonna count 3, 2, 1, and then do it. All right?
Yes.
Not on the one after that.
To the one after one.
Yes. The one.
So 4 then.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You're gonna count to 4.
Yes. All right. Okay.
Okay.
7, 9. You lost? Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Oh.
We need to play this game again.
Yeah.
Hello, this person is Lolon,
What? Whoa.
and today we're going to be talking about a game that's just come out not too long ago, isn't
No,
it? Right?
not too long. It was only about a few weeks ago.
Right, what's it
Honestly,
called? Tell me about it.
It's called.
Because you were the one that introduced it to me, so...
Yes. From the makers of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, a game you also haven't played,
No.
but I've played.
Yes.
Good. I can share non-spoiler opinions about that later. From some of the people, it's not the same studio, but it's the people who made it. Got some backing by EA,
Mm-hmm.
and they made A Way Out, which is interesting because we haven't played a game together for some time.
I have a weird soft spot in my heart for a two-player game. Like, if there's co-op, if there's... And lately, because it's just straight-up two-player. And that's the thing that I find the most interesting.
Yeah, we have an extensive history of playing co-op games, specifically split-screen co-op games. There's the co-op part of James Bond, Everything or Nothing. That was really good. We never finished that.
We never finished it because it was awful.
It was hard.
Because not only was it awful, but we were also uncoordinated.
It was. I need to try again. I have no idea what it was like. I remember it being difficult. I remember it being difficult. And then we have a game that I will always describe is better than its source material. That is far, far worse than its source material.
And that was...
Aragon.
Oh.
Aragon for the PS2. If you think about the games nowadays, what other games have co-op in them? Apart from what has local co-op in it? Apart from the Lego games. The Lego games are the only games I can think of which actually still has local co-op.
I guess. And the other two-player game that I can remember was one that nobody wants to remember, which was Army of Two. And that was
I keep forgetting about Army of Two.
I loved Army of. I loved it because so much of it was they really something about it just wasn't right.
It was boring.
I didn't.
It was
mind
cliched.
It was cliched.
So
yes.
cliched. I was like, what is this? It's like if the Spec Ops: The Line wasn't interesting.
And that's why I kind of I have a soft spot for two-player because every time one comes out, it gets a little bit closer to being acceptable, or at the very least good to a point. And that's what we'd like to talk today. Every so often, there's a game that comes out that's two-player, and it gets a little bit closer to being good. And this game proves that. To me, I think, for the first time in a very, very long time, we finally got a two-player game that is deliberately good.
Deliberately good.
It's deliberately good in the fact that it wasn't a one-player game that they suddenly went, "Oh, we could add a second person. This will make it perfect." It was a two-player game that's deliberately a two-player game.
They didn't
Dying Light it. They didn't Aliens Colonial Marines it.
Oh God, did you really say that?
Yes, I did say that.
God.
I should not
in
compare
this
anything
hallowed
to
ground. Oh God.
I shouldn't compare anything to that game, but you can't not notice.
That is split screen.
It was split screen and it was awful because your character technically didn't exist.
Yeah, there's so many games where it's just like you only exist in the gameplay portions, but anywhere else you just
And that's what I was worried about in this one, because when it said as soon as it starts off saying if you could have it local or online, immediately my immediate thought was, are we just going to have the same experience just on different screens? Is one of us are we going to do exactly the same thing, but one's just going to happen a bit earlier just because we got there quicker?
Is somebody going to wait in the background while somebody does the stuff?
Yeah. Or worse, are we just going to do the same thing over and over again because they know it worked? my immediate thoughts, it was very slow to begin with.
Mhm.
That's my thoughts. It was very slow and slightly
Well, let's
cheesy
get it out of
to
the way.
begin with.
Let's get it out of the way. The whole, like, all the trailers and stuff and marketing and stuff say that it's just an escape from prison. The
Yeah.
escape from prison isn't even 25% of
That
this
is
game.
a good
It's not even
quarter.
25. Like, it's barely.
Yeah.
It's barely. You're out there.
Spoiler, you you escape the
You
prison.
escape.
You
Boom.
get out.
Sorry if I'm
Spoiler, you
rocking
get
the
out.
boat here somehow.
I thought it was going to be, as soon as we left the like escape the prison, that was it. It was gonna end at that point.
We were just going to
We
drive off in the sunset.
Yeah, we
the
drive
camera
off in
was
the
gonna pan,
sunset,
like,
it's finally all
I'm
over.
free, free as the wind blows, something like
And
that.
then black, like fade to black credits, and then we'd all look at each other and go, "Well, it was a bit short, but it was as long as it needed to be, I suppose."
Yeah, it was indie game short, but
And
no, this
and
game's
I'm
long.
So it was
This game's
very
long.
long. It's long and it's packed with stuff.
It really is, and like, yeah, it's just and the whole prison escape bit didn't feel like there you go, but
No,
just
but-
done because it felt sequential,
Yeah.
you know.
If
It
I
felt
had
tied together.
Yeah, if I had to have any sort of criticism for it, it was that there was an element about it that felt LA Noirish, where you press a button and you show, and it shows you like where to go and what to do. I like LA Noir,
I
but
love LA Noir.
but it made it a bit too easy. Like
It was linear.
I just have to go.
It was linear.
You'd have to walk into a room, press a button for the camera to sort of zoom in slightly, and there'll be a little pointer to say, "Look at this area."
It's
And that to me, I thought ruined it a little bit. I think it tried to push us in the right direction rather than us trying to work stuff out.
there isn't much to do in the area apart from just talk to like the local people.
Yeah,
Like
but,
there are elements where you can just wander off and
but
do
that
some
would have
things.
been useful. That would have been useful rather than point us in a direction. If we can talk to someone and like talk to an NPC and they sort of give us a slight hint on what to do.
You wanted like parts
Yeah,
to be. Yeah, that's actually true.
I wanted the
though.
game to not tell me what to do.
That was true actually. I was wondering if because talking to the people like and learning what they're like learning
Yeah.
some of the things doesn't actually involve anything. Like I
It's-
remember
yeah,
I
it's
remember
just
in
there.
the workshop part there's like in the prison there's like this workshop
Hmm.
where everyone's just filing away, hammering away,
Yeah.
which you can do in multiple parts of the game. You can just walk. Apparently, in this game, you can just walk up to a block of wood.
There
and
is
just
a lot of
go
stuff
to town,
yeah.
and no one
That
will
is the
complain.
way. Yeah,
You could just ruin people's like handiwork, and no one will complain.
yeah. There's a lot of stuff to just walk around and do stuff,
Yeah,
only to discover that it did absolutely nothing other than the fact that you could do it.
Yeah.
That was the weird thing.
and in this,
It wasn't character driven, it wasn't plot driven, it wasn't even a clue to the puzzle. It's just go over there, nail
Oh, I'll get to this. I'll get to
bits
that.
of nails to a block of wood, then walk away from the block of wood knowing that you did that.
We'll get to the mini games soon. No, what I was going to talk about with this workshop is that there was somebody complaining because one of the guards had misplaced his hammer.
Hmm.
And of course he needed it to work, and so talking to him showed that he was like annoyed because this guard wasn't giving him his hammer on the other side of this like gate. So I was thinking, all right, so this puzzle is trying to get something out of this workshop. Of course, there's a metal detector. So does that involve into it? You know, something like the guy and the hammer and that? No.
Yeah, an argument breaks out there, and like between two NPCs, and you think, is that relevant to what we're doing? Is that even the slightest hint? No, it just
Nothing.
happened.
It just doesn't.
It's
occur.
just extra bit of noise to put in the room to make it feel like this is a real place.
Let's talk about the Connect 4.
There are mini games within this game.
Oh no! I need to care for my wife and newborn child. But first, some Connect 4, shall we? Yeah.
When you point that out, is that a positive or a negative? Because I found it hilarious because it was completely pointless in every way, shape, or form. But I was still looking forward to finding it. As soon as I found like I don't know, like a Connect 4 or like an arm wrestle or baseball at one point. Like, I was super excited to see it, even though it broke the pacing like no one's business.
It just took the story, the pacing, the theme, and just went. It was. I mean, okay, they were some of the funnest bits of the game. Like, they were actually really fun. But negative. Yeah.
I think I know why some of them were there though, because a lot of like the mini games were we take turns to do something. Like we take turns to play darts. So when if say you finished your if you finish something, then you'd walk
like
off
the
and do something, and then I'd take part. And that's my favourite one, was the wheelchair, where you balance, and it's a little balancing mini game. You know exactly what it is. It's the same thing. There's a little bar, and you try and push it to the close to the centre as you can. And I did it, and I got a pretty high score. And as you were walking down the hallway to notice me doing that, and then I got there. And then as I walk off, and my main character has their character development. The screen is always split in half. So on my side, which is on the left-hand side, I'm having a really serious conversation with someone to try and sort of work out what's happened to the character's wife and his backstory and his relationship and an entire plot. On the other side,
it's me falling over because on this wheelchair because I suck at the balancing minigame. It's like he's having this moment in this room, just like cradling his baby, like, oh, this is so emotional. And then you just hear muffled in the background. Oh, Jesus, my back! Ow!
All I can say is thank God that instead of half and half, the screen pushed, so I took up 3/4 because you were very distracting. As we just
trying to play.
I held my child in my hand, bang, on the other side. How do you feel about the implementation of 2-player in a game where it is 2 characters, not 2 playable entities, but 2 actual plot-driven characters? The fact that we both take up an equal amount of time, and we both have like a moment where control is taken away from one of us, so the other person
can do their bit,
has their moment, their highlight, their spotlight on them.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, and I think that they did it quite well, because there are, not early on, but later on, there are bits. Like early on, like you're doing things like one person watches for like the patrolling guards, while the other person like tries to like get an escape route in their cell, and so that's quite equal. We have equal like times there. But later on, there's like these big like action scenes where like switches between full view of each. But that's another thing. No matter if you're playing this locally or online, you will always have a split screen.
Yeah, that worries me a little bit.
I really like it.
I mean, I don't.
You don't?
I don't like that, because when we have it split screen, it forces me to do this. Like it forces me into that terrible habit of watching your screen when if you accidentally get distracted and not do something, like check for like be on the lookout because you're doing something else. I have to fall into the habit of going and looking at yours, so I don't get in trouble and so I don't lose.
But that
to me ruins it.
That ruins it.
That ruined it to me. If it was obviously we were playing it split screen and so we're next to each other so we can talk to each other, which has its advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Has its advantages as well as its negatives. It means I can tell you to your face that we need to do something or we need to go in a direction.
Yeah,
I can't do that very easily.
It feels like you're encouraged to have like if not face to face, then like a Skype whatever you use.
But if it was online and we were not only just using separate consoles, but we were on separate areas of the country and have no way of telling each other other than through Skype. Yeah. And I just have this full screen as normal, where I'd have to rely on you more because I can't do your job for you.
I actually really prefer it when co-op game, like Portal 2.
Mm-hmm.
We played through the entirety of Portal 2 multiplayer split screen because of on the PS3. No, boredom. It's because we rented it actually. Remember renting games? Oh, that was the thing. But and then I played it online with just the full screen, and it kind of lost something. Not gonna lie, I actually like the feeling of like seeing somebody else's progress while I do my own thing. It's actually, yeah, I don't know. I like that. I kind of like I like having that cooperation because I don't know. It just gives you something to do, and it's also a little bit nostalgic, like with the old the games that we used to play before. Those co-op games actually is quite fun, especially something when we get to a more action phase. That's also something I love about this game. It transforms it transforms itself from a typical adventure story driven game into a third person shooter. It earns the right to be Uncharted, which I thought was really cool. It was actually really cool. And then the cooperation we had then. There's a bit where you're where one person is fighting on the ground while somebody else is using a sniper.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm getting into this. This is really good. This is all classic style, harking back to Everything or Nothing.
Yeah, it takes a lot of inspiration, and it sort of ticks every single co-op box that you can. Someone's sniping, someone's on the ground.
It ticks every local.
We have to press buttons at the same time in order to break open doors, etc.
It takes every local multiplayer game, not just cooperative.
Please go here if you want to see our final conclusion. I want to put it there because it's right slap back in the middle of us, right there.
Can you actually do that? I didn't know you could do that. Spoilers!
Spoiler. Everyone dies. No.
Yeah.
Oh, did you not click away quick enough?
Oh! Sorry. No. So when I was talking about it takes from all kinds of local multiplayer, this thing went GoldenEye. This game went GoldenEye.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean by that? I meant, when we turn on each other with the glass.
Yes.
The parallels towards stuff like GoldenEye, Unreal Tournament was, and then later on early Call of Duties was just. It was so. The moment that screen went complete vertical split screen, which I feel bad.
And
for
our own health bars.
I feel bad for the people who preferred horizontal split screen.
Yeah,
I felt bad for them.
I like the fact it shifted and it moved depending on what happened.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
That.
I like that. That's probably why they kept it split screen, because that really added to it. But no, the moment that went vertical split screen, our health bars appeared. We had the same kind of map, just flipped.
Yeah.
There were even crates everywhere.
Destructible
crates everywhere. If that is not harkening back to those days. I mean, thematic wise, it kind of broke the theming a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's
now all of a sudden we had a butt ton of health now for some reason. Nothing changed. We had a butt ton of health. I'm not entirely sure where we were. Why is there this factory-ish thing which is exactly the same on both sides and has boxes just strewn around? It was, but okay. So story-wise, and in that sense, it kind of broke apart. But I don't care. I don't care. It was really good.
I disagree to it a bit, because if it just suddenly went, we were working together, all throughout the whole game, and then suddenly just at this point, if we had a cinematic and then we were against each other, then I'd agree, because it would make it feel slightly rushed. But it didn't. It had a build up.
Do you think it because it built up?
It built up. It doesn't just sudden turn. We had the plot twist where my character suddenly revealed, I was against you the whole time, and I used you. Then your character took hold of mine. I suddenly lost control, and you guided me to the car. You're starting to drive, and I'm trying to persuade you and take the gun off you. And then that's the point where we start fighting. It's not.
Well, there was the boat as well. The boat sequence as well.
And the boat sequence. Yeah. Where suddenly I'm trying to shoot you down. And you drive.
Yeah.
It slowly drifted into.
It taught you mechanics away, because we've done a driving scene before, we've done a boat scene before, so it introduced those elements again, but this time against against
Yeah.
the player, and then it went into
it
then
slowly
it
pushed-
turned
yeah,
into
it started to
the third person Bond games
the
versus
third person shooters.
the third person against.
So I don't.
Versus.
I disagree that it was like it wasn't a jarring change to me. I think
I don't
they
think it was
led
jarring.
us to,
It was just the fact that
And
suddenly
even
we
if it
had
was-
an
yeah.
abundance of health.
and even if it did, but the thing is, we still had the sort of, because we were so used to working together and sort of looking out for each other and timing each other and timing each other. Suddenly, that was stripped away from us, and all the habits that it taught us were suddenly taken away. And that, to me, was the jarring point. Because rather than chatting to each other that we did, before, of like trying to come up with ideas, we were silent. Did you notice that? We didn't utter when we suddenly
That's because I was shook. I was shook
because
I was shook
when
into the
as
core. I
soon
was.
as that was taken away from us, we didn't say a single word to each other. Not even nothing until the credits rolled.
Until the
again.
credits rolled, it was
We
until
didn't-
we were just nattering away, having
We
a
were
fun
nattering-
ass time, and then suddenly plot occurred, and then we were against each other, and but I was mainly just shook. I was
shook.
I was like, I was screaming inside, and then I was like,
we didn't tell each other anything. We stopped planning. We stopped saying anything. Here's the thing: I felt, plot-wise, I think I was quite happy with you winning, because
yeah, you said about that.
I did.
What do you think? What do you think about your character being not who you expected?
I sympathised with him, but the fact that we had to fight each other, I couldn't help but feel that he suddenly stripped away of any sympathy he had and everything he just had. Even though he was saying sorry, I didn't feel like he meant it. And we were having that. They were like, why would you? And this isn't like a problem with the character by all means. I can see my character doing this and being forced to go into a position where he doesn't want to, but he has to.
It's understandable.
Because it's his job, and that was the reason he was there in the whole first place.
It's understandable, but because it's not the person you were playing as previously, it's not the person you expected. You were. I mean, in an ideal circumstance, which of course this would never happen. What if in the beginning of the game, I don't know, only you were told you were undercover? If you were told and I wasn't, if I was left in the dark, wouldn't that be really interesting,
No.
but impossible to pull off?
It would be impossible to pull off because I'd know something you wouldn't, and therefore I'd use that. I'd know that the whole way through, and that would affect my actions. We wouldn't be equal, and the whole point of the game is that we are essentially equal.
Yeah, but the characters in the game weren't equal, though.
Not near the end, but they worked together in order to be an equal force.
But your character knew from the start. Unlike you, I feel like that because I knew about
That's the
my
point.
character. Like there was no like story revelations or twists with my character. I knew who Leo was. I knew what he was doing, and there wasn't any twists with that.
No.
But with your character, it was essentially just
I see what you mean.
lying to me, and also lying to
And
the
lying
person,
to the person playing. I see what you mean now.
It's also what I think about. It's also just what I think about unexpected villains in general. Like the unexpected villains in something like Toy Story 2,
Frozen.
Big Heroes, Frozen's definitely a one. It forces you to reevaluate the character. It's not the character you expected, and it's not the character you knew.
Surely that's the point of a plot twist, then.
It's the point of a plot. It's the point of the plot twist is for you to reevaluate not only what you're seeing but what you've just seen. Do you want that for a character you're supposed to sympathize with, that you're supposed to be controlling?
Yeah.
Do you want that? Will that give you an advantage? Would that not would that give you an advantage, but would that actually want you to carry on? Like I can't really think of a character.
I think it's one thing to be. It's one thing to have suddenly reevaluate a character as someone you trusted to someone who was behind this all and was now suddenly the villain. It's another thing altogether to play the character that suddenly turns.
I can't think of any other video game that's really done something like that, unless it's like a
horror.
Unless it's like a horror, but it's kind of cliched and you expect it.
If it's
like,
a horror, that's
like
the worst. Yeah.
like most video game protagonists are who you expect them to be, because that's why you're playing them. You're playing them
To play the role,
to play the role, even if they're quite discordant, even if they have their own personalities, and you're just reflecting onto them.
Like, I think it comes down to a lot of, like, when suddenly we one player loses control, so the other person takes center stage. That's usually the main, like, focus area.
Yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of you're doing something very important, therefore I have to find stuff to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of
But it doesn't last very long before the screen suddenly just pushes one person out the way, and now you take center stage. And that didn't feel out of place because I was running out of stuff to do.
Oh, yeah,
so I didn't mind, and you had the same thing as well, which is why I'm having a dramatic moment and you fall off a chair.
I thought, yeah, that's the only bit where I thought I could have been out of the picture earlier. Like, I walked out of the room, you could have had your scene.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't need to.
You didn't need to talk to people.
I didn't need to. All the time I had was to talk to a person, and start looking at a jukebox.
Yeah.
And then I was over.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have any time to do anything.
Timing's
even then,
a little bit off.
Even then, I couldn't hear what anyone was saying.
Yeah.
Because
the volume
the
suddenly
volume
raised
changes.
from one to the other, and
Exactly.
I like that.
It was
That
really
was
cool.
good. Suddenly I take center stage, and you're just a noise in the background. And to a degree, I think it worked. There's some little niggling points that sometimes it didn't work, but for a majority of the time, it did work. And especially when we have a fight in the hospital where suddenly it doesn't go split screen. It goes. It
That was
has
such
a
a good
huge
scene.
screen. It has
That
a
was
huge
such a
moment
good
where it's
scene.
supposed to make it look like it's all one take. If it were in a film where suddenly I'm center and I take control and I dash towards one door, I barge through. The camera suddenly pans towards another window to reveal your character is running down another corridor.
That was the part
to hide away from someone.
That was the part where I was
swamps
thinking
back to another person, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, that's the part where I was thinking, this game is going on for a while. Will it really like keep up, like content-wise, action-wise? Really keep the pace up? And it did. Like the moment we did that, it was like immediately in that hospital scene, I was like, okay, I ain't saying anything. You can keep going. Because that bit was like that one continuous thing. I didn't know. I like half expected Leo to be like in one scene, like just regular, just fighting away, and then it goes to you, and then it cuts back to me, and I'm just like, I don't know, in like a surgery gown, like being wheeled away, like in a morgue or something like that. I was just expecting something crazy to happen, because it was, you never know what expected, and that was really fun. It turned into a side-scrolling brawler.
At one point it did, just for
which
you.
is like, okay.
Interesting, you had the side-scrolling brawl, and I had the sit on a chair and hide.
The side-scrolling brawler though, because you know that's like classic multiplayer. That's classic co-op multiplayer. It's something like Final Fight.
Do you think it pays homage to a lot of?
It pays homage like heck. It pays like
that one scene alone, or?
When I saw the fact that it was a brawler, I was like, oh, this is kind of like Final Fight. But of course, I didn't expect your character to be in on that fighting, because that is definitely Leo's style. It would be fun. It would have been fun if it did have like both of us, and it did like the whole like not just side-scrolling but a little bit above. Is there any things? Can I say this? Can I go?
Right, you want the conclusion?
I want to do the conclusion because I've got a good point.
Conclusion.
Hi guys. From like the non-spoiler bit, we've said all the spoiler bits. It's great. It's fine. It's clean. Yeah. Conclusions. This game really proves that there is still stuff to be done with co-op split screen.
My hope for two-player games.
There's still stuff to be done. It's not fully saturated. There's still stuff to be done. I mean, it's even proven the fact that in new gen technology. I mean, if you remember back in the day, back in old games, double the screens means half the power, which meant that if something in like SSX, if you lagged too far behind, it teleported you forward because they couldn't load that much amount of space. And this proves that I can be off doing somewhere in another building or something, whereas you can be like somewhat like in somewhere completely different, and the quality of the game can still be really high. Like this game is full of content,
and to me that it's brought my hope back to two-player games. For,
Definitely.
Because
I want to see
for
more.
ages I thought that was going to be a dead style. Like we were never going to have two-player games unless it was some sort of cooperative multiplayer, or it was going to be like a team-based shooter.
There is still stuff to be done with like co-op games. Like I thought it was gonna have a big resurgence when Portal 2 did it, but it didn't. People just sidelined it for like just spawning a player in every time a cutscene was finished.
Yeah.
Like
It was just tagged on.
Yeah.
Like this is what people like. Let's just add that.
let's just
Whether the game can handle it or not.
Yeah, let's just do that, which I thought was really confusing.
The game, I think, is very slow to begin and then gradually gets better.
It
That's
has
another
a rocky
thing.
start. It has a rocky start, I'd say. Well, I commented on it. The first piece of dialogue you hear is the clunkiest thing I've ever heard a gamer ever say. All it is, only excuse. Who are these characters? Which one is the brains? Which one's the brawl? Choose. It was awful. The way they tried making it work was awful. But it got a lot better after that. It got a lot better after that. That felt like an afterthought. I don't know what they were thinking.
It's weird how their weakest of ideas are at the beginning.
The weakest of ideas are at the beginning, and that is like I like the whole Great Escape thing. I think they did it really well. You didn't do it in just one continuous take. It was you going in, planning, getting another item, planning again, like going forward, like hitting roadblocks.
Scenes would end sort of anticlimactically because
it's not going to. It's not going to have a big
scenes end anticlimactically because sometimes the characters hit a sort of brick wall that they can't quite get to yet.
Literally a brick
and
wall.
then they retrace. Yeah, and then they backtrack. Not as in a cinematic. We don't actually. In the game, we don't come back down the hallway and sit back in our cells and pretend we were asleep the whole time.
Yeah.
But it adds to the pacing of how big this prison really was.
It felt deliberate. It felt like this was going to be the entirety of the game, which it wasn't.
And it wasn't.
Which it wasn't.
I don't think that's a spoiler to say that.
No, it
because
wasn't. It was a big ass game. It was a big ass game with a lot of plot. Yeah, I really like this game, and I want there to be more co-op split screen games because you can still do a butt ton with them.
Yeah,
and I really miss playing them.
And I also like the game, and I'm so happy that this style of game and this sort of, I was about to say genre, but it's not quite.
It's play style.
Play style, I think, is probably the best way. Is still going, and it's sort of been reamped, and it's now better, and that makes me so happy because I thought that was just another failed attempt. This was going to be another army of two, and that's what terrified me.
Also,
and I'm so happy to be proven wrong.
Also, buying the game once and two people can still play it even online. Freaking great idea.
Great.
That's such a great idea.
I don't understand why it's just there.
Why? Because it's a small game, not many people are going to play it compared to other big EA titles. And of course, it needs to be multiplayer. You can't play it single player.
No.
It has to have two people. You need to have a buddy or a friend. Much to the pain of some people. Sorry, guys.
Sorry to all my loner friends.
But yeah, so it just makes sense because I don't think it halves their sales.
It's more accessible to more people rather than.
Yeah, you just have this one game. You can invite somebody else. They can download the game, play it. So yeah, I really like this game, and I want to play more co-op games, more local co-op games.
So do I.
Want to play some Everything or Nothing? Play some.